What if I told you that one of the greatest military victories in history was won by sick, starving men, knee-deep in mud, facing an enemy 5 times their size? No cavalry, no shiny armor, just wooden bows, steel nerves, and sheer will to survive. This isn't a fantasy, it happened. On a cold October morning in 1415, this is the story of Agincourt. England and France had been at war for nearly a century. The Hundred Years' War was a brutal tug-of-war over territory, thrones, and pride. In 1415, the young King Henry V of England, just 28 years old, believed he had a rightful claim to the French crown, and he was ready to fight for it. With about 11,000 men, Henry sailed across the English Channel and besieged the port of Harfleur. But Harfleur fought back, and hard. By the time Henry captured the town, his army had been ravaged by disease, dysentery, fatigue, starvation. His forces were reduced to about 6,000. Still, instead of retreating, Henry marched his weakened army 260 kilometers toward Calais, hoping to reach English-controlled territory. But the French were waiting. France mustered a massive force, around 30,000 strong, heavily armored knights, elite cavalry, crossbowmen, and veteran commanders. They blocked Henry's path near a narrow field by the village of Agincourt. The English were exhausted, trapped between the French and the woods, outnumbered 5-1. The French nobles were so confident, they argued over who would take Henry prisoner. They didn't expect a battle, they expected a slaughter. But Henry wasn't ready to die. Henry knew he couldn't match the French in brute strength, so he turned to terrain, tactics, and terror. He positioned his men at the edge of a freshly plowed field, narrow, muddy, and flanked by woods, a perfect killing ground. Then he ordered his archers, thousands of them, to plant sharpened wooden stakes in front of their positions to break cavalry charges. And he waited, with the cold morning fog thick around them. The English longbow was not just a weapon, it was a revolution. 6 feet of yew wood that could pierce armor at 250 yards. Each archer could fire 10 to 12 arrows per minute. Multiply that by thousands, and you have a wall of death. These were not professional soldiers. Most were farmers, peasants, tradesmen, but they were fast, disciplined, and furious. On the morning of October 25th, 1415, St. Crispin's Day, the French made their move. Hundreds of armored knights surged forward, but the narrow field worked against them. Rain had turned the earth to soup. Horses sank. Men slipped. Heavy armor became a death sentence. Then the arrows came, thousands of them, darkening the sky, slamming into the advancing French. Horses screamed. Men fell. Chaos spread like fire. The French vanguard collided into their own rear ranks. Panic, confusion, screams. Henry saw his moment. Henry ordered his infantry forward, just a few hundred men. Armed with swords, axes, mallets, in sheer desperation, the English pushed into the French lines. They didn't fight with elegance. They fought to survive. They crushed helmets, stabbed through gaps in armor, slit throats, beat men with hammers. Even nobles begged for mercy, but the English had none to give. It was kill or be killed. When the battle ended, the field was a graveyard. The English had lost perhaps 400 men. The French, over 6,000, including nobles, dukes, and knights, some of the highest-ranking men in France. Henry, the so-called underdog, had obliterated the most powerful army in Europe. His victory shocked the continent. It rewrote the rules of war. Agincourt became more than a battle. It became a myth. Shakespeare immortalized it in Henry V, giving us the famous lines, "We few, we happy few, we band of brothers." Military historians still study Agincourt as a masterclass in using terrain, tactics, and morale. It showed that you don't need numbers, you need strategy, purpose, and guts. History remembers the giants, but sometimes it's the desperate, the dirty, the outnumbered, who carved their names into legend. Agincourt isn't just a tale of war, it's a tale of belief, of not giving up, even when the odds are laughable. So if you're ever outnumbered, underestimated, overlooked, remember this muddy battlefield in France. Remember the arrows. Remember the fire in their eyes. Remember Agincourt.